My name is Asia Seldon. One of the similarities I noticed in the Epic of Gilgamesh and the story of Osiris and Isis was that their belief in higher powers. I'm not talking about monotheism, which is the belief in one God. I'm talking about their belief in more than one God or higher power. In the story of Gilgamesh, there was Anu, Lord of the firmament, and Ishtar, Queen of the heavens. In the story of Isis and Osiris, Asar was, or should I say, Osiris was known as Lord of the creation, and his son Horus was considered Lord of the eternity or ruler of the dead. Individuals looked to them for spiritual guidance, healing, and prosperity. Another similarity that I noticed between the two stories was that there was always a character or individual that had some sort of hatred in their heart towards someone. In the story of Gilgamesh, the gods had been disturbed by mankind and they didn't like what was going on. There was a line that I took from the reading that reads, "The people multiplied, the world bellowed like a wild bull, and the great God was aroused by the clamor." So in Leo, knowing that the gods were upset, he complained about the uproar, and Leo's intentions were to have mankind wiped away. The gods originally just wanted to punish the inhabitants. They had no intentions of terminating them. And Leo is the one responsible for bringing down the flood. He kind of manipulated them in a sense. In the story of Isis and Osiris, his envious brother Seth cut his body into 14 pieces. Osiris was the ruler at the time, and Seth wanted the throne. So you could see why his brother was envious. The only difference that I noticed between the two stories was that with the Epic of Gilgamesh, Enlil wasn't punished, whereas with the story of Osiris and Isis, Seth was murdered by his nephew Horus. Horus had actually went and avenged his father's death by killing his uncle. So that was the only difference that I noticed. The stories pretty much seem kind of similar in a sense. So it was kind of baffling and surprising to me when I read the two stories. My mind went to the Bible. That was the first thing that I thought of when reading these two stories with the Epic of Gilgamesh. It sounded a bit or a lot like the story of Noah building the ark. He was instructed to build the ark, and he was obedient and did that. Same with Gilgamesh. He was instructed by or enlightened by Ea to build the boat, and he did, and he was one of the survivors of the flood that wiped out mankind. Same with Noah. Him and his wife were one of the survivors from that major flood. We are here because of Noah. He kind of reinstated mankind in a sense. I call myself a Christian, but I seem to not have done my research. I did not know that Moses had been raised and brought up and educated in Egypt. Moses is credited with creating the Ten Commandments, but the Ten Commandments seem to resemble a lot like the 42 declarations of Ma'at, which came 15,000 years before the Ten Commandments. For example, the sixth commandment, which states, "Thou shalt not kill," means the same thing as one of the 42 declarations of Ma'at, which is, "I have not done murder, I have not done harm." Moses was considered the lawgiver. Moses got his teachings from Egypt. He was taught by the Egyptians. He knew a lot about their belief system and how that came about. So you could infer that some of his commandments were based upon the teachings and the practices of the Egyptians that came before him. The whole word mythologies is kind of bothering me because after reading both the texts and knowing a bit about the Bible, to me it seems like the Bible was based upon these so-called mythologies, excuse me. The Bible had to be based upon something, so I definitely believe that Christianity exist because of these mythologies that were put in place, or the belief system of the Egyptians, whether that have been in one god or multiple gods. In my opinion, Christianity was framed and founded around the principles of the Egyptians.